For thousands of years, Egypt seemed unbreakable. Its monuments rose from the desert like declarations of permanence. Pyramids, temples, colossal statues carved in stone. They survived invasions, dynasties, and the erosion of time itself. But monuments do not feed people. They do not irrigate fields. They do not prevent famine. Egypt's true strength was not vertical. It was horizontal. It flowed every year without fail. The Nile rose, and when it rose, it rewrote the land. Fields disappeared beneath dark water. Paths dissolved. Boundaries vanished. Then the waters receded, and what remained was fertile ground. This cycle defined the Egyptian year. Not months, not weeks, bad floods. Flood, growth, harvest. This rhythm governed everything: work, religion, politics. When the flood was good, Egypt prospered. When it failed, nothing else mattered. The entire civilization rested on a single question: how high will the water rise this year? This was not mythology. It was mathematics. It was measurement. It was administration. Long before modern economics, Egypt had already built a system of prediction and response. The river rose. Officials measured it. Scribes recorded it, and from those numbers flowed decisions. Taxes, labor, distribution. The pyramids were symbols, but the system was survival. As long as the river followed its rhythm, Egypt endured, and for centuries. That rhythm seemed eternal. For generations, the Nile had been predictable. It rose, it receded, it fed the land. Its rhythm was not questioned. But then, something changed. The flood came lower than expected. At first, it was subtle. A few missing fingers on the nilometer. A mark that should have been reached, untouched. Priests watched. Officials calculated. Scribes recorded the numbers carefully. The river had risen, but not enough. Fields at the edge of irrigation basins remained dry. Silt did not reach as far as it should have. Farmers noticed first. The soil felt thinner. The water lines were wrong. Still, 1 year could be forgiven. Egypt had endured variation before. But the next year came, and the water was lower again. 2 poor floods in succession changed everything. Grain production shrank. Reserves began to thin. Taxes could no longer be collected at previous levels. Officials adjusted calculations. Rations were reduced quietly. Labor projects slowed. The pyramids did not stop because of rebellion. They stopped because there was not enough surplus. The system strained, not visibly, but numerically. Low flood levels meant fewer harvests. Fewer harvests meant less stored grain. Less grain meant less authority, because the power of the pharaoh depended on delivery. Deliver food. Deliver stability. Deliver order. When the Nile failed repeatedly, the divine image of kingship weakened. Whispers replaced certainty. Was the king still favored by the gods, or had the gods turned away? Environmental stress does not announce itself with noise. It accumulates, layer by layer, just like silt once did. But Staimotiaku was fragility. Historians now associate periods like the first intermediate period with extended episodes of low Nile floods. Climate shifts beyond Egypt's borders rippled into the valley. Reduced monsoon patterns in East Africa meant less water. Traveling north, the river that unified Egypt could also divide it. Local governors gained influence, central authority thinned, not because walls fell, but because grain failed. When food distribution weakens, loyalty follows. Egypt did not collapse in a single dramatic moment. It fragmented gradually, quietly. The river had always been Egypt's foundation. Now it revealed its other nature, dependence. A civilization built on water must accept the risk of drought, and when the measures fell, the illusion of permanence fell with them. The Nile did not fail alone. Its failure moved through people, through homes, through villages, through bodies. When harvests shrink, hunger expands. At first, it is invisible. Rations reduce slightly. Grain mixed with fillers. Meals stretched thinner, but hunger accumulates, and with it, anxiety. Parents notice first. Children eat less. Livestock weakens. The air in the village changes. Grain stores echo. Markets grow quieter. When scarcity persists, movement begins. Families leave smaller settlements. They travel toward larger cities, toward administrative centers, toward temples, where grain might still exist. But cities cannot absorb endless pressure. When supply shrinks and demand rises, tension follows. Records from later periods describe unrest, complaints against officials, accusations of corruption, distribution failures. In some regions, local leaders grew stronger. Nomarchs, provincial governors, expanded influence. Central authority weakened. The pharaoh still existed, but distance grows quickly in times of hunger. When food does not arrive, belief erodes. The first intermediate period reflects this fracture. Political unity dissolved into regional power. Competing centers emerged. Memphis lost its unquestioned dominance. Thieves rose in importance. Power redistributed along the river, not through invasion, but through strain. Environmental pressure reshaped politics. Social stability fractured quietly, and yet life did not vanish. Farmers still returned to fields. Canals were repaired. Homes were rebuilt. Egypt did not end. And it contracted, adapted, reorganized. But the illusion of eternal stability had been broken. The river was no longer only a blessing. It was a reminder of fragility, and every future flood carried a question with it. Will this be enough? Or will it begin again? Empires do not collapse in a single moment. They weaken in layers. Pressure builds slowly, often invisibly. In Egypt, what fractured was not belief. It was capacity. The system that measured the river, stored the grain, moved the surplus, and absorbed failure. When floods became irregular, that system strained. When drought cycles extended, administration faltered. Not instantly, but progressively. Granaries emptied faster than they filled. Labor forces thinned. Confidence declined. Monuments still stood, but monuments do not distribute food. They symbolize power. They do not generate it. When administration weakened, local structures compensated. Communities reorganized internally. Regional leaders expanded authority. The state contracted, but it did not vanish. This is the paradox of Egypt. Its apparent collapse was often transformation. Periods we label as decline were phases of redistribution. Power shifted along the Nile. Administrative centers relocated. Influence recalibrated. The old kingdom fractured. the Middle Kingdom emerged. The new kingdom expanded outward. Each reinvention carried memory forward. What truly preserved Egypt was not architecture of stone. It was architecture of organization. Knowledge passed between generations. Records maintained continuity. Water management refined over centuries. Even foreign invasions did not erase the system immediately, because geography remained. The Nile still rose. Fields still required irrigation. Grain still required storage. As long as that cycle continued, Egypt endured. What eventually altered Egypt permanently was not a single failed flood. It was cumulative change, long-term environmental shifts, external pressures, integration into larger empires. Persian, Greek, Roman, yet even under foreign rule, the agricultural system remained recognizable. The river still dictated rhythm, and communities still rebuilt. So what really broke? Not the monuments, not even the idea of Egypt. What fractured was centralized permanence, the illusion that stability is eternal. Egypt teaches something unexpected. Civilizations survive not by resisting change, but by reorganizing around it. Stone endures, but systems adapt. And adaptation is quieter than collapse. When we look at the pyramids today, we see permanence. But Egypt survived because it was flexible, because it rebuilt, because it redistributed pressure, and because millions of unnamed people returned to the river each year. That is the architecture we rarely see, but it is the architecture that mattered most. Egypt did not fall in silence. It transformed in continuity, and that may be more powerful than collapse itself.